Excellent. Thank you so much for being with us this evening, with me this evening. My name's Cristina. I have the pleasure to be sharing this really valuable information to you, and there may be a number of reasons why you're here with me this evening. I welcome you from wherever you are that you're joining. As I mentioned, you might be along here tonight because you have a health situation, a health condition, or something that you're struggling with and is frustrating you that you would like to address. And somebody has maybe said to you, you really need to look at this information. And I hope that what I share with you this evening, you really take on board with an open heart, because it truly has the potential to truly transform your health, as I have seen in many, many cases now. You may be here simply out of total curiosity. You're in great health, but you value your health and your family's health, and you understand that your health isn't just the responsibility of your doctor. It's not the responsibility of your government. That your family's health is absolutely the responsibility of yourself. And for that reason, you want to stay up with the latest and greatest and make sure you take every step to protect your family. You might be an athlete, you may be interested in anti-aging and longevity. You may even just be an entrepreneur curious about the latest trends. And for that reason, I welcome all of you. There will be something for each and every one of you tonight. Okay, I'm going to launch straight in to the presentation. I've got a slideshow and we're just going to power through. So, alrighty, the company that brings us this really exciting breakthrough is called ASEA. And the product that we'll be discussing, the technology that we'll be discussing this evening, is called ASEA Redox, and it is a cell signaling supplement. Now, don't worry at all if you haven't heard about this before, because I certainly hadn't. And this landed on my doorstep in a very unusual way, which I'll share with you shortly. But what we're discussing tonight, be assured that it is truly 10 to 15 years ahead of its time. It is heavily patented and unique. It is a true new category creator of science. There's nothing else like this on the marketplace. So whatever it is that you've done up to date with your health or whatever is on your shelf, I promise you there is nothing that you have access to like redox signaling, unless you have this product already, of course. What's in this bottle won a Nobel Prize back in 1998, the discovery of the molecule that's right in here. And what's most exciting of all is that not only is this really powerful, potent technology, it is actually something that already exists in your body and therefore has zero toxicity. More on that later. But just so you know that this isn't just me who's excited, I want to share with you that there are so many scientific heavyweights, science researchers, doctors, people in nutrition who are saying and speaking out about redox and redox signaling, that it is the greatest advancement in lifestyle medicine, harnessing the power of our own bodies to keep us well, and that this technology truly has the potential to spearhead some of the greatest advances in health we have ever seen. Now, I know when I first heard words like this, I came from a background in marketing. I haven't told you much about myself. As I said, I'm Cristina, I'm in Brisbane. We have 6 kids between us, 6 boys. I came from a background in business. I've been in business for myself my whole life. But I was in a totally different industry when this came across my lap. I was in marketing and advertising, and I was used to hearing really big claims. And for that reason, it actually took me a while for really the penny to drop that this truly was a genuine medical breakthrough. And what my hope is that I've put a presentation for you tonight that really covers the key points, so that whatever the reason is that you're looking at this, the information comes at you with scientific backing and with some really strong foundations to give you the confidence that these words on this page are not just hot air. They really are being hailed. This product is truly being hailed as probably the greatest thing that we will see in terms of medical advancements. Now, I want to share with you how this came across my lap, and it really was through a friend. It wasn't through a medical journal. It wasn't because I saw it on the TV. It wasn't even through a presentation. It was because my dear friend, Dan Doyle, a long-standing friend of our families, longtime friend of our families, suddenly fell sick. And he was he came down with a condition, and before I go through this, I want to absolutely be clear, I should have said this up front, that ASEA redox is not being hailed as a cure or treatment or intended to diagnose any condition. We are talking about activating your own body to do all those things. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But in the case of my friend Dan, he had already gone down every possible medical avenue after he'd been diagnosed with a life-threatening condition. He had rapidly dividing cells all over his body, an unstoppable rampage of disease through his body. And despite all his very best efforts, he really was, after years of battling, this is where he was at. And it was really heartbreaking, actually, because I remember, I think what was extra tough about this was that Dan, you know, he hadn't been somebody who had been playing Russian roulette with his health. He was a fit individual at the gym. He was an ex-athlete bodybuilder. He was a clean eater. And here he gets struck by this disease that none of us want. It was just absolutely unbelievable. It was really hard to comprehend. Then he did everything right, everything that the doctors told him to do and more, and this is where he still was. Now, they told him at the hospital, they said, we can't do anything else for you, Dan. And they sent him home. It was around October 2014, if I'm not wrong. And fortunately, we received a phone call from a friend of ours, Bart Cotter, who said to him, mate, there might be something that can help. And truly, if this phone call had come 3 months later, it may have been too late, because it was that desperate, Dan's situation. But at that point, Dan, who's a fighter, got on a plane with Malcolm, my ex-husband, and they went to the Utah where the lab was for this molecule. We didn't even know anything about it. We hadn't even seen any research. I mean, we were just at a point where we were going to try anything. Dan was ready to do anything to save himself. And what I'm so glad to say is that what is in this bottle, this incredible redox signaling molecule, which I'll explain in a second, even within 3 hours started a process of detoxification in his body. If you want to watch his full testimony, it's quite incredible. But 5 months later, his blood tests were turning around completely. Less than a year later, doctors could not find a trace of the disease. Now, it was all due to this breakthrough in this lab in Utah, which we didn't even understand. Honestly, we didn't even need to at that point. All that we cared was that it was working in our friend. I can't even tell you how impactful that was, because at that point, I knew that without intervention, our friend would not be here. Simple as that. I mean, you weren't there maybe, but I'm telling you that I was. And without this intervention of these molecules at this time, our friend Dan would not be here. And this is Dan today, now almost 3 or 4 years on. As you can see, larger than life. Currently, right now, I just pinched this off his Facebook today. He's in Vanuatu holidaying. Actually, a few of my kids are there as well. And we're just so thrilled and so pleased with the fact that Dan was able to find these molecules in time. And now he's an ambassador for this technology. And thanks to him, these molecules came to my family and have then impacted so many thousands, truly thousands of people around the world, thanks to this man's testimony. Now, I always struggle to not get emotional, because I just know that my friend Dan would not be here if it wasn't for this product. So let's talk about what's in this bottle. But firstly, just quickly before we do that, let's talk about what redox molecules are not, because I want to make a very clear distinction that what is in this bottle is something you've not seen before. It's not a vitamin, a mineral, an antioxidant, an exotic juice, and an alkaline water. It's none of those things. Now, all these things are important tools that our body uses and needs. So they're like the building blocks. If we were building a house, it's the wood, it's the, the cement, the nails, it's all the ingredients, let's say, that you need. In this case, for your cells to function, for your body to work. Redox signalings fall into a different category altogether. So in order to explain, I'm going to cover 5 really quick points exactly to cover, in a very brief way, hopefully, what exactly these redox signaling molecules are. Promise you I'm not going to go too deep in the science, but I do want you to understand exactly what they are, because they truly have the potential to transform your family's health. So what are redox signaling molecules and what is in ASEA? Okay, the 5 points we really need to get through. Number one, you and I are just a big bag of cells. We are made of between 70 and 110 trillion cells, each one of us. If you clap your hands like this real quickly and you feel that tingling sensation on your hands, that's cells that have been killed and destroyed just quickly. But that's all we are. We're made of an incredible amount of different cells. We start off effectively as 2 cells, then we divide, and now we are trillions of cells constantly in a state of flux. We have cells that make our lungs, we have cells that work in our brain. Now, point number 2 is that not all cells are healthy at the same time. Now, if we look at cells under a microscope, it'd be lovely to think that they're all nice and plump like the one on the left, but they're not. They're often affected by different things and situations. There's a whole universe in there trying to keep these cells healthy. For example, here's a quick one. I pinched off a website today. On the left, you've got a healthy human cell just in culture. And then after eating a typical fast food meal, look what happens to that cell culture extraction on the right-hand side. So our body's in this constant state of trying to repair cells, trying to fix them, and trying to destroy the very scary ones. So it's happening trillions and trillions of a second all the time. These are the jobs that we already know our body's doing. We know it's doing, otherwise we'd be dead. Our body is constantly protecting the healthy cells. There's mechanisms inside the cell that do that. Our cells are repairing themselves, the damaged ones, and the ones that are really, really dangerous are getting destroyed by a process of cell suicide and then replaced. We had understood this. We've watched this in a microscope. We understand this beautiful orchestra that's going on inside. But what we hadn't understood is why. Why and how is exactly being triggered. Now, you can appreciate this is an important question for the medical community. Why is it that sometimes cells get repaired? And why is it that sometimes they are not? This is an important question for somebody who's got cancer. It's an important question for somebody who's suffering from thyroid disease, or who's no longer making their own insulin, or who's got gangrene creeping through their limbs. Why are some cells fixed and some cells are not? As you can appreciate, the answer to that is pivotal to the advancement of medicine. And that is the reason why in 1998, these 3 Italian researchers were given the Nobel Prize for Physiology of Medicine for identifying for the very first time exactly why this cell repair process is happening. And it is thanks to this redox signaling molecule. That's what it is. It's the molecule that sends a signal that says, oi, send help over here. Now, the sad thing, this is point number 4, is that our levels of redox are rapidly declining. That's why in our kids, when our boys fall over, or when they, get a bruise or a cut, they heal rather quickly, much faster than, say, somebody who's 85 or 90. Now, watch this. Interestingly enough, both a 5-year-old and an 85-year-old have the capacity to heal. So we're not missing the mechanisms. We still have the ability to heal. The only thing that's happening, if you think about it, is that one person is healing a lot faster and another person is healing a lot slower. That is the redox signaling miracle that we've discovered, really, that we now have on our hands. The understanding that we heal because these molecules are sending the signal to orchestrate and to trigger that healing. But that, sadly, as you can see in this diagram, every decade we're losing 10%. If you're 40, you've got around 50% of your redox signaling molecules that you should have in your body. And each year you're losing them more. Now, that's a process that was already happening no matter what, but now it's happening so much faster. This process is happening really, really quickly because of the environment that we have put ourselves in. It's really quite incredible. Our bodies have, we're just not designed for this. They're not designed for the things we touch, we breathe, we come into contact with. The oxidative stress, even the emotional stress has a physical impact. The amount of the rat race, the amount of stress we're under, the diseases, bacteria, parasites we're exposed to. It really is a miracle that we're as well as we are, even though the statistics are actually frightening. Now, if you look at the numbers, this isn't a scary exaggeration. These are figures, these are facts. And wherever country you're watching this from, it's probably happening in your country as well, I'm sorry to say. Now, what has happened? These numbers have changed drastically in the last 50 years. It's not that our bodies have suddenly stopped working in the last 50 years. It's that our environment has changed. Now, even somebody who says, you know what, I'm pretty healthy. I drink, water. I eat lots of veggies. The reality is you don't know what's been sprayed on those veggies. You don't even know what's in the water. We are under attack. We can't really hide from it. We just need to find ways to perform better. Now, if you think about what this redox molecule is, we already know that it is the molecule that triggers for repair. We know that our bodies are under so much more stress, toxicity, and in desperate need of more of these molecules, because without them, we're seeing a rise of diseases. So obviously, this has become an absolute hot area of research. Now, if this is the first time you've heard of the word redox signaling, do yourself a favor, go on something like PubMed and literally Google redox, because what you're going to see is that there is this mountain of research. And I've had doctors and people in the health profession literally just their jaws drop and go, how has this been happening under our noses? How come more people don't know about it? The truth is, what you'll discover is there is so much out there on redox signaling. It's just that it hasn't hit universities yet. It's not being taught yet because it's still such a new field of science. That doesn't mean that it's not, there's not a lot of very exciting research. Here, just a quick highlight, screenshots I've taken, chronic inflammatory disorders and their redox control, talking about therapeutic opportunities of redox in conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. There's another one back there. I believe that was redox and arthritis. Oh, excuse me. I think I'm hiding all my, here we go. Let's maybe get it out again. Okay, so there is so much in the way of research out there. Here we go, rheumatoid arthritis, redox imbalance in Parkinson's disease. Of course, there's bucket loads on the study of redox and cancer, because basically, if you think about it, when a cell is damaged, when a metabolism of a cell is broken and behaving very differently and dangerously, redox signaling molecules are the ones that should trap it, destroy it. Because in my body right now, the reality is that there's probably cells, that could become cancer. But I'm counting on my redox signaling molecules. Hopefully I've got enough to catch that, destroy it before it becomes a problem. And that is why there's literally books being published, so much research being put out there about these diseases like diabetes, cancer, neurodegenerative conditions, inflammatory disease, chronic conditions, and redox. It is become such a focus that the only missing piece was the sad story that our levels are declining. We know we need it. We know we need more. Unless you're going to live in a bubble and excuse yourself from the world and not be in contact with anything, you need to make your body stronger. You and me, if we want to not end up as a statistic, we need more of these molecules in our body. And that's point number 5, that the ASEA company had the foresight 17 years ago to start trying to figure out a way to artificially but replicate this exact molecule. Exactly how it happens in the body. So they have to take salt and water because they're the ingredients inside your cells. We want to make that cake, we've got to use the same ingredients. So we take salt and we take water, and through an incredible process that has taken medical nuclear physicist Dr. Gary Samuelson and his team 17 years and millions of dollars of research, they have achieved what was thought to be impossible. And they've stabilized the redox signaling molecule outside the body in perfect balance. It's not a synthetic, it's not a copycat, it is the exact same molecule, the replica. Now, why this is exciting, because now as we supplement with redox, we are no longer just working on the surface. We're not just dealing with symptoms, we now have the ability finally to get to the root cause. Because the root cause of every disease really is a damaged cell. That's where it starts. It may not show up for a long time, but it's because a cell has not been fixed on time. Now, if we get redox, if we get our bodies more of these redox signaling molecules, the damaged cells, the dangerous cells get recognized, and our body is able to do its incredible work. so much. I actually listened to a really wonderful talk by a couple of doctors today about the way that the medical profession is in desperate need for a shake-up, because we cannot continue along this path of over-medicating people and covering the causes of why we're sick simply by covering the symptoms. It's the equivalent of having a fire in my house and one of the kids running out and saying, "Hey, Mum, there's a fire in the room," and if I just said, "You know what, close the door, if we don't have a look at it, if we can't see it, it's not happening." And that's what we're doing when we're taking tablets. We take a tablet for a headache. Oh, well, if we can't feel it, it's not happening. Wrong, it's still happening. Well, I'm not producing XY hormone. Okay, let's take a pill and just give you a little bit more. Well, why isn't that thyroid working? Why is my pituitary unhappy? The reality is that if we start exploring the source, that we can actually truly fix problems. And that's what's in this bottle, the solution for our body to open up those healing pathways. Now, there's been some exciting research done. Sorry, just take another sip. There's been some exciting research done already on this product. And here's a very quick summary of just a few of the studies that have been conducted. They've been conducted under strict guidelines by third-party, independents, placebo, double-blind, controlled studies. So if you know about that, it's not just been done in someone's garage. These are studies by reputable laboratories. And here are some of the things that we've been able to show absolutely of what this product, this bottle, these molecules are able to do when taken into your body. Number one, last year, Torrent Laboratories was able to show that these molecules impact you at the genetic level, and you'll start to see triggering higher expression of genes that improve your immune function, that improve your inflammatory response, that improve your cardiovascular health, that give you better gut health and enzyme production, that improve your hormonal balance, that protect you against free radicals. It's been shown to kill bacteria and viruses in 30 resistant strains in under 30 seconds, 100% of the time. It's been shown to improve cellular turnover, cell communication, improve your cardiovascular and lung capacity, speed up the burn of fat fuels, increase the power outputs. It's been shown to increase the levels of powerful antioxidants in your body, the healing little workers in your system by between 500 and 800%. In just 72 hours. It's been shown to improve circulation to the body, to the area when applied as a gel by 50% in just 15 minutes. It has, of course, zero toxicity because it's already in your body. As a gel, it's got an incredible potency on the surface. These are some of the aesthetic changes you'll be able to see. But remember, this isn't your average beauty product. We are actually not covering, we are repairing. So this has incredible applications across things like burns, cuts, infections. I know with the kids, it's the bruises, it's the mozzie bites. There's so many uses for the gel. There's so many uses for the drink supplement. And it's not that, I guess sometimes people say, how come this works for everything? Well, you know what? Because at the base of everything, there is a cell. We've got to look at things differently. We're so trained, we're so used to having a medication and going, okay, this medicine is for this. Because when you're talking about prescription drugs, you're talking about prescription medication, they're only designed to do one thing. It's going to push that button in that part of your body. But when we're talking about utilizing the body's own natural pathways, every cell, whether it's a lung cell, a hair cell, a foot cell, they all utilize the same mechanism. They all utilize redox signaling. So it's like the first domino that allows that repair process to start happening. And of course, what's exciting and the reason why we're happy to use it on our children is because it's already in their bodies, so it cannot harm them at all. All right, let's get to some pictures. This is my favorite part. Okay. So if you can see clearly, I hope that where you're sitting, you can have a look at the incredible impact of Renew, the gel. These are before and afters in 28 days. As I mentioned, it's not just aesthetics, although aesthetics are important. I'm sure that this young man on the bottom left-hand side had a significant improvement to his self-esteem and personal happiness to have his skin clear up. I know that the mum on the right-hand side, like myself, we're happy to be able to have our bodies returned to us. Here we have somebody within 28 days with an incredible impact to their neck. This lady, this lovely lady here, she's mid-80s. In just 4 weeks, look at the significant impact of this gel on her hands. Why that's so exciting is because I know that that cellular regeneration that's happening right before our eyes is also happening on the inside when she's taking the drink. It truly is a fabulous way to look at repairing and at healing. We're simply giving the body more of what it already needs so that we can reestablish balance. So many conditions like this one on this young man's or lady's arm they're due to inflammation or oxidation. You can almost throw all disease into one of those categories, oxidation or inflammation. When you give redox to the body, we're able to start the mechanisms to restore that balance. Now, as you can see here, it's not all immediate changes. These changes are 6 months later, but I would be much happier with 6 months of using something that has zero toxicity than to start down the chemical track or lasering or surgery. We are here into a new way of looking at medicine. We are utilizing the body's own processes, and the body is going to need time. So if you're here with a condition, one of my encouragements to you is be ready for a process. This isn't a tablet that's going to mask your symptom. We're at the cellular regeneration level. Having said that, we do see some changes that happen super quick. Here, for example, this image comes from a lovely friend of mine, Marie-Jo in France, and this is a patient of hers. She's an osteopath, and this is a malady of Raynaud, where circulation unfortunately doesn't reach this poor lady's digits. But of course, with Renew, in just 15 minutes after 3 applications, you can see that revascularization, the wonderful flow of blood all the way to the end. We see some wonderful things in clinics. We started to see people utilizing this at home, people utilizing this at sports club, people who are healthy, athletes you'll see in a moment. Of course, there are support groups where people are constantly sending in their images. Like this is really impactful. You know, I actually had to remove some images because I have some that are entirely graphic, but I just put myself in these people's shoes to have had such a significant change to my skin would just be absolutely transformational to these people's life. And this, once again, is not a steroid. It's not a chemical. We're just giving the body what it needs. I use this, as I mentioned, everywhere. This on the top right-hand side is our little son, Jet. He punctured his toe out camping. He had gotten infected. The doctor had prescribed antibiotics. Unfortunately, he fell asleep and I didn't manage to give them to him. I put the gel on him through the night, and the wound and the infection had, as you can see, the next day was maybe 8 hours later. Was already well on the way to repairing. I've had an anatomical scientist tell us on one of our meetings that what she has witnessed in 1 hour after a redox application on cells in a petri dish usually takes 24 hours otherwise in the lab. Here we have somebody, I'm assuming it's a gentleman, with hair growth. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. Look, I'm not going to go into too many more stories. I get excited though. I just want to encourage you that if you're struggling with something, join one of our support groups, get on there and have a read of what other people are experiencing, because this really is a place where you can connect with other people who have maybe got a similar story to yours, and you can have a look at what their journey is. We try and keep track of scans, of blood tests. This is a wonderful tracking that a lovely friend of ours in Spain is keeping. This lady has a rapidly cells dividing condition in her ovaries, and you can see the antigen of those growths declining. So the activity of those growths declining rapidly as she commences on ASEA. redox in the blue. So you see the dosage increasing and then those growths shrinking in her ovaries. It's really exciting when you get to see it charted like that. And as I said, it just never ceases to impact me personally. Now, you don't have to be sick to want your body to do better. As I mentioned at the beginning, you might be somebody who's an athlete. You may be just wanting to push your body to do better. You may be wanting to reach new levels, to improve your endurance. If you want to do that, I encourage you to go to ASEAathletes.com and you'll see some of the great research. You'll see some gold medalists at the people at the top level, world champion competitors, Ironman triathletes. Rich Roll here voted one of the 25 fittest men in the world. We've just had Dominique Easley actually on the bottom right. This is a bit hush-hush, but he's just been brought on by ASEA. I have to tell you, ASEA does not go looking for athletes. There is a queue of athletes applying to represent this product, and they do not fund them. They just give them the product. If an athlete is wearing an ASEA t-shirt and promoting this product, it's because they love it. It's because it works. And of course, at the top level, testing is a big deal. And we want to make sure that, sorry, that's a repeat one. We want to make sure that they're not getting in trouble for banned substances. So for the athletes, it's very important that they're able to use a natural product. In terms of the client testimonials, I just want to share one more with you because this is one that has really totally moved me. This is a beautiful young man that we're working with in Spain. I have his mother's permission to share this. Her name is Maite, and this is Victor. He was born with a brain lesion and has cerebral palsy. When he began using Redox, I believe it was last November or thereabouts, I met him. He could not sit unsupported in his little chair. He just didn't have sufficient muscle control. I'll take the volume down. This was about 4 months in. Okay, you can see Victor. Okay, he lasts a little bit. That was about 4 months in. And this is him a couple of months ago, maybe about a month ago. Just sitting there, just chilling out at the park. His mother sent me this, absolutely in tears. We're just so thrilled for Victor's progress because just a regular sunny day, and she was absolutely beside herself with joy that her little boy can just sit at the park on a rug just like other kids do, and he doesn't constantly need to be in his chair. The only thing that has changed in Victor's life has been the addition of these redox signaling molecules. And he's honestly just such a beautiful boy, such a beautiful family. And this is the reason why I walked away from my business, my company. I walked away from everything just because when I saw these molecules working, my main thought was, why doesn't everybody know about this, and what can I do to make sure it gets to more people? Because literally, this product is for every cell in every body. You are not exempt. Even if you're healthy, we're all subject to the same disease, which is aging. We're all subject to the same environment, which is toxic. We're all wanting to prevent disease. We're all wanting to live longer, better, and stronger. We all care about our families, and that's the reason why we try and look for good food. Well, we try and live in safe neighborhoods. Well, this is something that if you now know about it, I really honestly feel a moral responsibility to expose our loved ones and anybody you care for to this information. So that takes me to the last few minutes of this presentation. How do we reach the world? How do we reach more people? Because truly, I think that after you get around ASEA and you see what it's doing in people's lives, you will hopefully have that desire to make sure that more people know about it. In our case, it impacted my dad's health, my mum's health, my sister. It impacted my family's health. I was able to come off antidepressants after I had been struggling with hormonal issues for a long time. My children have had improvements across skin conditions. I've known just so many other families like Victor, and like them, there are many more that still need to hear about this. And that is the reason why Virtus Norton and Tyler Norton, the founders of ASEA, that they were brought on as advisors. They recognized how special this product was, and they decided not to sell to the pharmaceutical company. after Dr. Gary Samuelson and his team had stabilized the redox signaling molecule and been able to put it in a bottle so that it could be marketed, Vertus Norton, who had been at the head strategist for Kraft Foods, little $36 billion company, he's got an incredible marketing head on his shoulders, and his son Tyler is equally successful. They wanted to be very cautious how this product hit the world because they did not want it to get lost. Now, the pharmaceutical company made them an incredible offer, but it came with some really difficult conditions. One of them was to shut down the clinical trials that were underway. And there were people on those clinical trials that, like my friend Dan, were very, very sick and were getting better on ASEA Redox. And they just couldn't morally shut that down. They couldn't shut production like the pharmaceutical company wanted. They couldn't hide the research. They couldn't do it morally. And I'm so glad they did that. And I'm so glad that they instead of making a decision and selling out, they went and they asked the market, how should we sell this? They gave this product to 40 families. And those 40 families were left with the product, I think it was for about 3 months. And they came back and they said, all right, let's look at some observations. What do you think? Now, the exciting thing that they did not expect was that those 40 families had naturally and organic told another 135 families, and the product had gone to 21 countries around the world. Can you believe that? So just organically, it was spreading. And that's been my experience as well. Somebody who starts utilizing these molecules, even if they say, look, I'm not going to tell a soul, they always do because it's just so powerful. So it was very quickly noticed that the best way for this product to hit the market and to come to more homes was through word of mouth. And that's the reason why they designed a direct distribution model, which is basically allows anybody to be a distributor, a goose like myself to somebody who's a mum. I had my own business. I came from another industry, but I became passionate about what's in this product. I have the opportunity to partake in bringing this to the market. That's been super exciting because as an entrepreneur, that's all I've ever wanted to do is be part of something big. And as a human, as a person, all I've ever wanted to do was do something that made an impact. So this really ticked those two boxes. And obviously it was the right decision because as you can see from the figures, the company has been growing incredibly fast. Last year it did 100 million in yearly turnover. It's already forecast to smash through the $1 billion turnover in the next 3 to 5 years based on current projections. So obviously what they decided to do is working. And yet so many people are still to find out. So even though it's growing quickly, there is still so much opportunity as we move into new markets like Asia. Now, I have been approached, I suppose, I've been told about so many breakthroughs I came from marketing background. I was always seeing the latest and the greatest products. But something just tweaked, when I really understood what was in this redox signaling supplement. I suddenly understood that this was unlike anything else on the shelf. There's truly, every time you walk into a health food shop, they will not have 10 different types of redox signaling. I promise you that. If they're stocking redox, it will be because it's an ASEA product. But they won't have it. It's absolutely brand new. Everything else on the shelf combined cannot replace redox. Everything else on the shelf is about cell nutrition and cell environment. There is only one signaling molecule that puts all those materials, all those other products to use, and it is redox signaling molecules. So that is why this product truly is the most significant health, anti-aging, true longevity product, athletic breakthrough of our lifetime. It gets me so excited because as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as I mentioned, I quickly started to realize that I had the position to not miss the boat with this. I didn't want to be like I went and watched Bohemian Rhapsody the other day, and it was so funny. Beautiful movie. It was this funny moment where there was a lead singer, the original lead singer of Queen. They were called something else at the time, but he basically walked away from the band because he didn't think they would ever become anything. And like that, I've seen people, even in the last few years, walk away from participating with redox and working with this launch because they just think it's just another product on the shelf. and they're missing it, and the growth continues, and the market starts to know. The Huffington Post has flagged this as one of the 5 emerging technologies that will shape our lives in the years to come. There was a World Congress on redox signaling last year. There'll be another one this year hosted by the Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris, basically pursuing the study of redox simply because they can see that it will lead to new therapeutic and disease preventative opportunities. As such, so few people know about it that you and I have the opportunity to participate in bringing this breakthrough to market. So look, this is, I think, my second or third last slide, but I just want to list the reasons why we, Matt and I, our family, and some of our close friends decided to literally change everything that we were doing and come on board with helping to share this information. These are the reasons why. Because we're working with a breakthrough science. Because we as entrepreneurs have the opportunity to work with a product that has zero competition, that is changing lives, and there's nothing else like this, and people will want to work with you. There is no risk, obviously. It's a product that is completely safe, but there's also no financial risk because there's no investment needed. You just need to be a connector. The products come directly from the ASEA company. They don't need to sit in your garage. You just need to be somebody who shares this information, connects people to ASEA, and you'll be well rewarded for that. We're not looking for a minority of people. This product is needed by every single person. There's not 500 products here to learn. There are 2 products, key core products that we're working with, a drink and a gel. It's very easy to explain. You can literally send them the recording of this or a much better presentation someone else has done probably, and there you have it. They'll either want to use this or not. There's a strong compensation plan, and we should be rewarded for working right at the frontier of something so exciting. And it is the right moment in the market. We are absolutely post the testing phase, pre-momentum, and you have the freedom to develop this your own way. And the transparency of results is what's exciting. You can sit down with somebody who's just talked to you about the distribution aspect. You can talk and say, look, I want to see how much is on the table, how much I can make, which markets I need to work in. I want to look at the science. I want to look at the medical board. I want to look at the backgrounds of the company. Everything is transparent right here. You should know who you're working with. You should know what the opportunity is, and the information's there. Just ask for it. And that's the reason why Matt and I decided to move forward with this opportunity. As I said, it wasn't like I was looking for a business. Seriously, I wasn't. I was doing quite well. It just happened that I had seen so much with my own eyes, and I just didn't want to be the person that 10 years down the line said, oh yeah, I was around when redox was new to market, and I didn't get involved and I didn't tell anybody about it. And firstly, I would feel a moral responsibility that I had let down people in my circle that needed to know about this. People like Dan, people like Maite and her son Victor, people like Lola in Barcelona with those wonderful results that you saw charted, people like all the stories that we now get sent every single week. I felt a true obligation to get involved with something that had the potential to allow me to wake up every day and make a real difference in someone's life. If you have any point of doubt, I encourage you to not just base that on maybe I've presented it wrong, maybe I haven't said something right. Please ask the questions. If you dismiss this, let it be because you've taken an informed position, not because you've decided, I don't like this or I don't like that. That's emotion. Go to the research, go to the information, go on PubMed, go and talk to the specialist, talk to somebody who's had results in their own body. Make an informed decision, because one way or another, this will impact your life. Whether you do this will impact, whether you don't will have a significant impact. I know that because it's changed our life. We live across 2 countries, the US and Australia. We have the freedom to be with our kids, to take them on some wonderful experiences, to impact other people's life, to work from home. If we hadn't come on board with this, I do not believe we would have half the opportunities we have, and we certainly wouldn't have the satisfaction of being able to work with so many amazing people around the world. These are some of our friends that are out there sharing this ASEA story, having incredible success. You don't have to be a type of person. You don't have to be a medical person. It could be a housewife like Winnie who's having incredible success. You could be somebody in Barcelona like these beautiful sisters I'm working with. You could be somebody working out of your home. Sorry, I've just, my PowerPoint froze then. It could be somebody working out of your home in the mountains. You could be working out of an island. You could be working out of Europe. You could be like a beautiful family like Stevie and Sarah with their children. They homeschool. You don't have to be a type. This is Malcolm, my ex-husband. We're great friends, and it's just wonderful to work together and to have the kids benefit not only from a health perspective, but from the opportunities that this has opened up as well. And finally, obviously, like our beautiful friend Dan, who has the opportunity not just to have changed his life financially, but most importantly, that he is here, that he's restored his health and the health of so many people around the world to have a second chance at life, thanks to this incredible breakthrough that we have the opportunity to share together. So that takes me to the end of this presentation. I'm going to pause the recording, and if you have any questions, please jot them down on the side panel there. I'd be really, really happy, or put your hand up. We're really, really happy to answer any questions. Let me just pause the recording.